This is your 420 Radio News for Thursday, May 2nd, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. Governor O'Malley signs death penalty repeal, medical marijuana bill, and other measures from the Washington Post. Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley signed a law to legalize medical marijuana well into a ceremony that stretched about 2 hours. The legislation legalizing medical marijuana limits distribution to academic medical centers, which will be required to monitor patients and publish their findings. Legislative analysts say it's unlikely that dispensing of the drug would begin before 2016. It is also unclear how many institutions might choose to participate. Two of the state's most prominent, the University of Maryland Medical System and Johns Hopkins University, have been reluctant to get involved. But supporters of the measure have hailed it as a significant step toward a compassionate treatment option for people with such illnesses as cancer and multiple sclerosis. 18 states and the District of Columbia have enacted similar laws. New Hampshire Senate rejects marijuana decriminalization bill from Boston.com. New Hampshire won't join neighboring Maine and Massachusetts in decriminalizing possession of small amounts of marijuana after the Senate rejected what it called a deeply flawed proposal, removing criminal penalties for possession of up to a quarter ounce of the drug. Senator Donna Soucy, a Manchester Democrat, said Thursday the bill makes restrictions on marijuana possession more lenient than alcohol or tobacco. There are no age parameters in the House-passed bill, so technically children could use the drug. She also said the penalties don't ramp up for minors who are repeat offenders. A bill prohibiting the classification of hemp as a controlled substance to be grown for the industrial use of its fibers and seed oil was retained to be studied further. Ohio lawmaker introduces marijuana legalization proposals from 10tv.com. Ohio State Democratic Representative Robert Hagan of Youngstown introduced two proposals at the State House on Thursday that would make marijuana legal in the state. The first bill focuses on medical usage, while the second measure would provide for a statewide vote for marijuana legalization. Hagan said House Bill 153 would allow patients with certain chronic conditions to use cannabis to treat their ailments. If passed, Ohio would be the 20th state to pass medical marijuana laws. The second measure, House Joint Resolution 6, would provide Ohioans the chance for a statewide vote to legalize and tax marijuana. A news release from Hagan's office said the measure is based on recently passed legislation in Colorado. 7 San Francisco marijuana dispensaries targeted by the DEA from Smell the Truth. We received word Wednesday that 7 medical marijuana dispensaries permitted by the city of San Francisco are being investigated by the Drug Enforcement Administration. The DEA is trying to force the closure of at least one of the targeted dispensaries, the Hemp Center. The Hemp Center's landlord is being threatened with 40 years prison, property forfeiture, and asset seizure for renting office space to the Hemp Center, sources say. At least 4 landlords in San Jose received similar letters Friday. The latest polls show almost 2 out of 3 Americans agree that federal authorities should leave state legal marijuana alone. Almost 3 out of 4 Americans agree the estimated $7.6 billion federal war on pot each year costs more than it is worth. The new threats this week follow federal threats against all dispensaries open in Santa Ana, California last week, as well as the raid of a San Diego dispensary who had an operating agreement with the city of San Diego. The DEA also threatened 11 medical marijuana clubs in Seattle. Marijuana magazines scrutinized in Colorado may be treated like porn. From the HuffingtonPost.com. Marijuana magazines are under scrutiny in Colorado, where lawmakers might require stores to put them behind the counter. The unusual provision to treat pot magazines like pornography was considered Thursday in a Senate committee. If approved, the provision would make Colorado the first state to require stores that allow entry to shoppers under age 21 to place pot magazines behind the counter. A lawyer for High Times magazine called the magazine restriction, quote, patently unconstitutional, end quote, and said there's no legal precedent for treating pictures of a drug as obscene. Lawyer David Holland said the magazine would likely sue if the provision becomes law, saying, quote, it is a content-based restriction that violates freedom of speech, end quote. The magazine provision was among a long list of pot regulations awaiting a vote in a Senate committee Thursday. The bill also includes labeling and packaging requirements and a limit on marijuana purchases by out-of-state visitors. The bill limits retail sales to out-of-state customers to 1/4 of an ounce in a single transaction, though all adults would be allowed to possess a full ounce of the drug. This has been your 420 Radio News for Thursday, May 2nd, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we go behind the headlines and take a look at another proposal in Colorado. This one would set specific definitions of child endangerment with respect to marijuana cultivation and consumption. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. We'll be right back.